what they need to finally win the war. McCall said it takes 3 to 6 months to train on the potential equipment, and time's being wasted. Today marks 30 years since the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. 6 people were killed after terrorists set off a homemade bomb in the parking garage under the Twin Towers. More than 1,000 people were injured due to the large explosion and debris. The families of the victims gathered with survivors at the 9/11 memorial today for a moment of silence and a tolling of the bell. I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Sunday. You're listening to Whatever Works on KCAA, 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I'm your host, Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And tonight we have a special guest. He traveled around the other side of the world to help out Ukraine during this war. You know what? Introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah. My name is Nicholas Lamb.
Nicholas Lamb. And how do we know each other, Nick?
Wrestling from high school.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, wrestling. Yeah, YHS.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was a long time ago.
You guys graduated together?
No, I think he was a grade above me, right?
Yeah, you graduated in what, 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
it was 15 for me.
15? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen this guy since high school, and then a couple months ago, I was at the gym, and he was benching, and he goes, "Sam Works," and I look around, and it was Nick, and I was like, "What's up, dude?" And he was telling me about all the stuff he's been doing, and he went to Ukraine. When did you go?
I think roughly about maybe 6 months ago.
About 6 months ago. Yeah.
I'll be going back in a couple of months as well.
I like that. I like to hear that. So today's topic, if you guys didn't know, it was about Nick's adventure going out to Ukraine and helping out the country and all that good stuff. But before we get started, Kyle, you know what time it is.
It is our sponsor time. SNJRadio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music.
Yes, guys. All right. So if you guys want to go back and listen to any of our podcasts, or if you guys missed any of our podcasts, just look up on Spotify, Apple Music, or go on the radio, KCAAradio.com, and look up KCAA Whatever Works. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Email us if you guys have people that if you want to come on the show, or if you have anyone who has interesting stories. You know, the show is all about whatever works.
Whatever works.
Yes.
Also, if you have any questions for either of us or Nick, you can always call in at 888-909-1050. That is 888-909-1050.
Yes. So, Nick, what motivated you to go out to Ukraine?
Yeah.
All right. So I was already, in missionary terms, on the field at this point in time. I was in a country called Kyrgyzstan.
Okay.
And my next stop was supposed to be Jordan. And while I was out there, I just had I felt this call to go to Ukraine. And I was like, I don't really know how this is going to work, but I talked to the people that was a part of my organization. I was like, hey, I've got a desire to go out there and help them. What can you do? And they're like, instead of you going to Jordan, we can divert you. You can go to Romania, and from there you can help with the border efforts and whatnot.
Right. So what was your title?
What do you mean?
So, I guess I already have it down. You were a
Humanitarian.
Humanitarian.
Yes.
Thank you. You know what? I was talking to my dad before the show. I was like, watch me mess it up on the show. Humanitarian. And I did repeat it 20 times, and I still messed up. Humanitarian aid.
Yes.
Right. So what did that job consist of?
So basically, once I got to Romania, they said our greatest need is manual drivers. If you can drive stick, we need you to take supplies from Romania into Ukraine. My organization was not down with that for liability issues, so I had to leave them in order to continue.
So you just went out there independently, basically?
Yeah, solo.
Wow.
Because nobody's going to insure Ukraine at that point in time, or now.
Right.
For this matter.
And so what was it like going in? What was the security precautions?
So the border it felt like a normal border. You've got armed guards. There's probably about an 8-lane street, and each one has its own position that you stop.
Right.
And they check your credentials, and then you kind of go through like, what are you doing here? Why are you going in? And when do you plan on leaving and stuff like that.
I'm never planning on leaving. No, just kidding.
I mean, some people said that.
Yeah.
Kind of like us. We're
So-
like, we're here to stay.
So when you were going in, what were you expecting?
You know, before we left, I went with a secondary organization that was already doing Ukraine stuff, and they're like, if you are a person who would crack under pressure with people with AKs walking around like asking you serious questions, this is not the place for you to be. And I was
Right.
like, I mean, I've kind of always loved crazy stuff, so I was like, I think I'll be
I'm up for it.
I'm
Yeah.
up for it. This is the place for me.
So I was expecting to be essentially intimidated.
Yeah.
For the most part, it was pretty crisp. It
Yeah?
just a breeze, honestly.
Did they have you wear any body armor? Like, did they give
So-
you a gun? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
'Cause-
yeah, I get what you're saying. So the people we were okay. When we first got past the border, now we're inside Ukraine. We drove to Kyiv to our contact. His name, I'm actually not going to say his name, just in
Yeah.
case.
Safety
Okay.
precautions. I
Yeah.
like
We're
that.
gonna say Doug. We went to Doug. Doug,
Okay.
oh, he's got an accent. It was phenomenal. Just having essentially like a narrator,
Yeah.
sarcastically talking about how we're probably gonna die as we're driving around Ukraine. And then he's like, "We also have this body armor if you want it. I don't wear it, but I mean, if they shoot me at the right angle, it'll protect maybe like my right butt cheek." So we had
Okay.
some stuff. We had ballistic helmets and some plate carriers with some vests that I
Like
think were
Kevlar, like for the chest,
Um,
or you said right butt cheek? Is it just for like?
I mean, he had it in the seat, like sitting to his right. Like he didn't actually wear it. So these were vests
Okay.
with plate carriers, and they were rated for rifles. So
Okay.
when I'd wear it, it would protect my chest, pretty much my vital organs, chest and back. And then the
Right.
helmet, it's more for like shrapnel. Wasn't really
Yeah.
rated for any kind of bullets or anything like that.
Wow. Okay. And so, how long were you out there for?
So I was out there for about a month.
Okay.
And then the second time I planned going anywhere from a month to like 3 months to maybe even longer. We'll see. We'll see how it kind of plays out.
Okay. And you were excited throughout the whole trip, the whole mission, or was there parts where like stuff got down, or just like talk about your experience? I want to know.
So driving into it, my faith was for sure like pretty invested in this of like, I have faith in the God that I serve that like, if we see Russian troops, he's going to somehow get us out of the situation.
Okay.
And if he doesn't, I'm still going to be like, he's still good. But I was like preparing myself for the worst and most awesome situation. Like if a missile lands right next to us as we're driving down,
That's
it's
a
just
dud?
a dud.
Oh,
just
man.
dud. Or like Russian troops will open fire and their bullets just somehow disappear on the way to us.
You got holes in your shirts, but not on you.
Yeah,
You're just like,
it's just
"Ah."
like gone.
Yeah.
It's like
so,
Matrix, yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. One of the things that like really brought it to reality was their order of operations. Basically, if you had Russian troops firing at you from like you're driving into oncoming fire,
Right.
you as the driver are supposed to turn left and use your passenger to soak up as many bullets as you can, so that way you can get either the van, the supplies, or the people out of danger.
Okay, that makes sense. So basically, what you're saying is you don't want to be on the passenger side.
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
I want to be driving. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be driving. But,
And so you know how to drive stick then?
you know, funny thing.
He signed up and he didn't know how to drive stick.
So
That's a great way to learn, though.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to learn now.
They got hills. They got, yeah.
Yeah, that is so
Yeah.
crazy. Okay.
I could really put that on a resume. So when we got out there, they told us we were just going to be taking stuff to the border, and then they told us, no, we actually need help going inside. Who can drive stick? And I'm like, okay, I know how a clutch works. I know how gears work. I've done mechanic work. Like, fundamentally, I know exactly what to do. In reality, the only actual experience I've ever had was when I was 7 years old and my father was trying to teach me, and my weak little leg would push down the clutch and then get super tired. And when I put it in gear, I would stall out. And I freaked out and I was like, get me out of this car.
Right.
For a grand total of like 15 minutes. So then one day they're like, "Hey, do you want to drive home from church?" And I was like, "Sure." And this was like a 30-minute drive through the city of Romania.
Okay.
This is my first actual time driving.
Okay.
And I nailed it. They're like, "Yeah, he did great. He stalled a couple of times, but he's ready." And then
He's ready.
second time, I'm in Ukraine slamming through gears. And it was
Just having a blast or what?
I was having such a blast, like keeping those RPMs high on the turns, you know.
Yeah.
Like, first gear, and then we get in the straightaway. Oh, it was so fun.
So you said because of liability reasons, your people, your group that you went out with and stuff, like you had to go independently, right? Because you went into Ukraine. So who did you group up with?
So they are called a Jesus Mission.
Okay.
They're a small missionary organization that has people kind of all around the world, and they basically saw a need that nobody was fulfilling. So they're like, we're gonna go, like all the big corporations stay away from it because of liability.
Right.
But they're like, we're so small that, you know, even if we
If
get
anything
shot,
happens, no one
Yeah,
no one's gonna know.
yeah,
If something happened, it didn't.
Hey, small things make big impacts.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Right.
So what you said it was a truck, but was it like an armored truck, military truck, or
Oh,
just a
no.
civilian truck?
So this was basically imagine an Amazon van, but now make it 15 years old, maybe 300,000 miles.
Just
Ricky,
beat up, huh?
Just beat up, and then, you know, those are supposed to maybe take like 2,000 pounds
Right.
manufacturer like warranty. We were loading in like 5,000 pounds of supplies and then driving them on bombed out roads with some serious
Wow.
potholes.
Did they at least change the oil before you guys went out?
I mean,
Like,
they maintenance them
Tire change?
as best as they
yeah,
could.
bro. Did your guys' vehicles ever break down in the middle of it? Were you in a situation where you were literally thinking to yourself, "This ain't good"?
Yeah.
This ain't good. Not me personally. I
Okay.
still have friends that are out there, and they've told me a couple of their stories where, you know, sometimes they have some like older men that are like all macho, and they're like, I know how to drive stick, I can do all of this, and then they're driving this weighted down van, and they go over a pothole, and the axle completely busts, and now they pretty much have to abandon the van because they're like, there's something called curfew. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's still a thing. Basically, after a certain point in time, any city in Ukraine has to turn off their lights, and
Right.
nobody's allowed on the road. And they do this specifically so that way they cannot be targeted by Russian aircrafts.
Right.
Makes sense.
So we were on a race. We were basically racing time
Okay.
to get to the city before curfew and before we get essentially locked out and considered an enemy to the Ukrainians. So when they busted that axle, they basically had to leave it.
And did you guys go pick them up, or did they start trekking on foot, or how did
So we typically do a caravan,
that? Okay.
anywhere from 3 to 5 vans. So, I mean, that van, they would salvage as much as they could from it, take what they could, and then load up
Love the rest of the vans.
Yep.
And then go.
and then go.
All right, you guys, it is 15 past 7. You guys are listening to Whatever Works on KCAA. We have Nick here. We have one of our favorite co-hosts, our only co-host.
One of
Kyle
our
Carey.
favorite. What?
You don't have
The
to.
favorite.
No, it's not. That's only for the break. Yeah, we have Rick, by the way, guys. I know you all know that Joe is our normal board op. However, he's up in the mountains, snowed in. So we have Rick, who's our engineer for the radio station, filling in for him. He's a good man. He just doesn't know how to run my show, but that's okay. It's okay. So you guys listening to Whatever Works. We got Nick Lamb here. He went to Ukraine about 6 months ago for humanitarian aid. Got that down.
Nice.
And he's just talking about the stories and the procedures and everything that he saw and experienced. It sounds like it's pretty fun.
I mean, I had a blast.
Are those pictures?
Yeah. These are pictures. So I had to check the date. This was April 18th, 2022.
Okay.
I'm currently, if you want to check this out, I'm sitting
Yeah.
with my friend, and we've got some armor on. We are currently driving. Where were we driving? I think it was Kharkiv. We
Kharkiv?
had just delivered some supplies to a local church, And that was such a heavy but also special experience because they're like, we have a great need out here, but
Yeah.
because of Jesus, we actually have no needs. And just to hear that from people that couldn't sleep for 2 weeks because they were afraid of dying
Right.
was just, it was powerful. And then the pastor's wife also said, thank you for not being afraid to come out here. And it's like, wow. Like,
Hey, God's on my
look at
side.
that.
He's standing
Yeah.
right behind me. You know, he has my back.
Yeah, he really did. Accidentally. So before we had left, the people from a Jesus mission had said, hey, we just got a report yesterday. A guy went to go get some water from like a local well and was blown up by a mine. So we will not be stopping for any pee breaks, and we're just gonna go. And that's like a 13-hour drive.
Oof.
So I was like preparing myself. I was like pretty much dehydrating myself. You shouldn't do that. But also, I was not trying to pee out a window in the middle of a war zone, or in a bottle for that
That's
matter.
so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a target right there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. So we met up with some people in the capital, Kyiv, and then we didn't communicate very well. So they basically were like, we're going to lead you guys. So they were the spearhead of the caravan, and just telling us like, hey, you guys need to speed up. And eventually, about like 3 hours into it, they pull off on the side of the road, and all of them get out and run into the woods and go pee. So
okay.
my thought is, oh, okay. So it's safe to get out and go pee. I also didn't trust it. I was like, maybe it's safe. Doesn't matter. I armored up. I threw on the vest. I threw on the helmet. And I was like, Lord, guide my steps. Because
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what's out there. Right now, Ukraine is the most concentrated place on Earth of unexploded ordinances. So there are mines everywhere, booby traps everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need the Lord's help in this. So guide my steps.
And a lot of that stuff is from World War II and different wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just left them.
Hey, you know, I mean, what I would do if I saw these guys making it to the woods, and you know you don't want to step on a landmine, just step on their footprints. You know, step where
Yeah.
they're stepping, because they already made sure for you that there ain't no mines
Yeah.
right there. You know.
Yeah. I was not in the same area as them. So I walked out there and did my thing. And then later on that night, when we had like debrief, they're like, yeah, that was a minefield. And I was like, thank God
Yeah.
that I still have my legs and my life.
You're still
Like,
here.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Let's
know-
talk a little bit about like what's going on over there. Like, do you really think that they're holding it off, or do you think that
Yeah.
Russia is
So,
right around the corner, or what's going on?
So Ukrainians are a very strong people.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you guys are aware of their history or not.
Oh yeah.
But basically, they had a revolution at one point in time, and it was kind of like a underdog story of against all odds they still
Right, yeah.
prevailed. So even with Russia, the fact that they're fighting Russia, crazy. Like Russia's so huge, and their military might is vastly greater than Ukraine. Yet the spirit of the people is still strong. And
Yeah.
still fighting. But yeah, I honestly think it'll be kind of like a situation where Russia's like, we've been at war for this many years with Ukraine, and they're still not giving up, and we still have yet to capture anything really vital. I think at some point in time, I believe that Russia is gonna say like, it's time to cut our losses and just kind of pull the troops out and give up.
You think so?
Or
I do think so.
the way I'm thinking,
Yeah.
if I was Putin, be like, I already sacrificed too much.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I'm not gonna lose and have this much loss. You know?
Yeah.
It's either all
All or nothing.
basically, yeah, all or nothing.
Okay.
Because at this point, you know, he sent X amount of troops. You know, all these vehicles got destroyed, all these, you know, aircrafts, and having that as a reflection, like everything that's happening right now, is gonna be history.
Yeah.
And you know, as a human, like what you want to be remembered as, he's not gonna want that. You know, he's not gonna want to lose unless he literally put everything he can out there. And that's the scariest part because we all know what he has in terms of like destruction. You know,
he has a lot of friends that are enemies of us too.
Yeah,
That's true.
And so, like a few days ago was the exact year since it started. And so, just saying the line, how it's changing is weird.
Yeah.
Russia completely lost the north. And so they're more on the eastern side now, but they haven't really gotten much ground. And it's wild.
Oh man. So, do you guys know what the term tank killer is? I
Yes.
mean, I'm sure you can guess. Do you know what I'm referring to specifically?
It's a missile, right?
Okay, so in Ukraine, this is absolutely wild. We'll say it's a slang term. Tank killers in the Ukrainian slang are tractors.
Oh, okay.
So basically, these Ukrainian farmers would roll up right next to a tank, hook it up, and tow it away.
I've heard about that.
While the tank is like live, like active,
While it's
running.
live, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they subdue whoever's inside of it.
Right.
Or
Throw some grenades inside real
Throw some
quick.
grenades or like just weld the top shut. Something like
Weld
that.
the top
Yeah,
shut.
it's like,
I
dude,
never
yeah.
thought of that. Hey, they're probably in the tank like, what's that noise? And then they're trying to
You
get
can't get
Weld
out.
it in and
That's
it's over.
crazy.
And then they just pull
That's
it away.
kind of smart, though.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I never would have thought a tractor could be such a vital weapon in a war.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see any Russians or planes or like anything when you were out there?
I didn't see any, but the province I was in was bombed while I was in it. That was a crazy experience. So we're getting ready to go to sleep. We're in, I think, an old schoolhouse that is just housing refugees. And I would say it's probably like 10 o'clock at night. And then all of a sudden, all you hear is the air raid siren.
That must be scary, dude.
It was an experience because at that moment in time, I could just feel like I was really connected with everyone there, and everyone was thinking the same thing of where is it dropping? Like, what is about to happen?
Yeah.
And everybody just waited.
That's
Stayed
all they can do,
silent.
right?
Yeah, that's all you can do. So
Pray. You can pray.
yeah, you can pray.
You
That
guys weren't
moment-
in like any bunkers, or you guys were just in buildings?
We went, so at the church we delivered the food to, they had a basement that they modified into a bunker.
Okay.
And it was not the best living conditions. They were using it for storage, and now they're housing like 35 people inside of this dingy, like, rank basement.
Yeah.
Now, for 35 people, that's not a lot, you know, especially for all the people, everyone populated in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So, are there multiple churches that are doing that, or how does that all work?
So, for the most part, when it comes to Ukraine, there's like, I wouldn't necessarily say a 50-50 split, but there are people that are like, we have to leave, and we've got to go to Romania, whatever neighboring country, to wait out this war. And then there are people who are like, we have to stay.
Stay and fight, or just stay and wait?
Stay and help the people that are fighting or
Okay,
what that are
okay.
trapped. Essentially
Support,
can't
yeah.
leave. Yeah, support. So the church that we were with decided to stay, and they're pretty much the only one in that neighborhood that offers like food to the community, shelter to the community, and a place of hope for the community. I'm sure there are others in different cities, but as for that city, for the most part, that was what we had seen.
And that was in province? Or
I
what city was that in?
I would have to check.
Okay.
I took screenshots of my locations while I was out there because I was like, I'm probably not going to remember these names.
Now, you showed me a picture of you and your buddy inside the van with all the armor and everything. Do you have other pictures as well?
I do.
Because I would like to post them on our Instagram.
Okay.
So if people want to see, you know, your
Some-
photos, they
some
can
of
Yeah,
go
just
on.
kind of the experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can go on Instagram, look up KCAA, whatever works, click follow, look at the pictures. You know, it'll be pretty interesting.
But before we go on break here, like, how can people get connected, or how can people help out? You know.
Yeah. So there's of course the organization that I was with while I was out there.
That's
They are
and that's a
called
Jesus mission.
a Jesus
Okay.
mission. Yes. They have people that are currently out there still. One of them is named Jordan Gabe Montanez, and there's another Jordan who has his whole family out there. Oh wait, no, he's back in Croatia. There's another man named Tyler. Oh, Tyler's cool. He's a cool guy. He's got his family out there, and they're still helping out Ukraine. I think they're gonna switch. They might switch whatever work they're doing out there,
Yeah.
depending on the need. Because I've heard that from them that Russia plans on invading with I think like 100,000 troops sometime soon.
Oh wow.
So things are about to get crazy again. So they might swap from delivering food to maybe medical supplies or something else.
Okay.
But you can find them at their website. I'm sure that there's a link probably talking about these are the
Okay.
people we have in Ukraine.
Yeah, we'll probably get that link too. We'll post it on the website.
Yeah, that'll be great. Now, if people did want to go out and help support, I know like finances is not everything, but it's huge.
Yeah.
right?
It's a big part.
So does that get paid for it or compensated, or how does that work?
So it's funny. A lot of people, when they find out I'm a missionary, they're like, "So how much money do you make?" And I'm like, "Actually, it's the opposite.
It's completely voluntary,
Yeah,
right?
I pay to leave. I pay to go out there. So when it comes to money, it's pretty much fundraising.
Okay.
So it's like, hey, I'm going on this trip at this date, and I need this much money, whether it be a one-time donation or monthly, to help me either survive living out there or to help pay for like a ticket for a plane or a ticket on a train or
Right.
whatever.
And
it
I'm
is.
assuming you have to land, let's say, in like Romania,
Yeah.
because you can't.
Yeah, I don't think
There's like multiple checkpoints. There has to be.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
definitely the airspace out there. You're not going.
Well,
You're
yeah.
not gonna land in Ukraine.
Yeah, I don't
You
think
know,
they're
so-
landing, yeah.
Just hit up that JetBlue.
Yeah. So you went with your buddies, right?
Yeah. I went with a total of 7 people who decided to divert from Jordan. And I think 5 of those people were willing to actually drive into Ukraine. And
You're one of the 5.
I am one of the 5, yes. So that was just a blast. Also, mentally preparing myself to have to basically take care of my friend's leg that got blown off was an interesting thought of just like,
Wow.
I need to be prepared for whatever may come, so that way when the time comes, I'm not just frozen in shock while he's like bleeding out on the floor.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But
And did you see that happen?
we didn't.
Okay. that's good.
Fortunately, yeah.
that's
Everything
good.
was pretty chill.
Okay.
For the most part, it was a phenomenal experience in a war zone for me. We didn't experience anything absolutely crazy or terrible, but I know that Ukraine for sure has suffered a lot, and
Yeah.
I'm sure when I go back, I will probably see some more.
Yeah. Hey, every day's different, right?
Yeah.
All right, you guys. It is 30 minutes past 7 o'clock. We're gonna be taking a quick 5-minute break, but when we come back, we're gonna continue talking about Nick's adventure out in Ukraine, helping support the people, supplying food, going out there and seeing all those crazy.
The message of Brother Stair lives on here in Southern California on KCAA, Monday through Friday from 1 to 5 a.m. Hear the worldwide broadcast of the Overcomer Ministry from the Faith Cathedral Fellowship. Call for prayer requests or to make a donation at area 843-599-1215, beginning at 1 a.m. Monday through Friday. Hear it here on KCAA, AM and FM.
This segment is sponsored by PressPrint, Southern California's best full-service union printer and mail house. They offer the lowest prices around with unmatched service and reliability and free delivery throughout SoCal. PressPrint can print anything from letterhead, business cards, and campaign literature to mailers of any size, lawn signs, banners, door hangers, or just about anything you might want. PressPrint promises to save money for you, your business, or your campaign. If you'd like to learn more, contact Mike Krumbrand at PressPrint 714-399-8708. Get the union bug.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau de Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com.
Hi there, it's Sheila Mack from The Sheila Mack Show. I have some exciting news for you. Are you looking to enhance your team's performance and achieve life-changing results? Then tune into my show this week for a special interview with Bill Storm, the National Peak Performance Trainer for Tony Robbins. But wait, there's more. I am thrilled to announce a free specialized live Zoom training with Bill and I for you and your team. Register now on KCAA's banner or visit SheilaMack.com, then the Tony link. During the live Zoom training, you will have a chance to ask questions and you'll learn how to execute Tony Robbins' proven strategies for success. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to take your life and career to the next level. I guarantee this event will be the best training you'll participate in all year. So what are you waiting for? Register now and get ready to achieve next level results with your team.
Enjoying your night and this evening. We have a very special guest, an old friend of mine from high school, and the sound block is not working anymore. Mr. Rick Rule. Can you hear me? Oh, you just turned down the music. Is that what it was? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Anyways, you guys listen to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I'm Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And I'm Nicholas Lamb.
Yes, and Nicholas Lamb, if you guys are just tuning in, he went to Ukraine about 6 months. Well, actually, it was in April. Yeah, we looked back on the photos. If you guys missed out or if you guys want to go back and re-listen to it, you guys can go on Spotify, Apple Music, or the website and just look up KCAA Whatever Works. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We're going to be posting a couple pictures that he took out there.
Yeah.
Some of them have some pretty significant meaning to it, right?
Yeah.
He showed me a... We'll talk about that picture you just pulled up.
So I just pulled up a picture of a giant stuffed panda bear. Like, think about like the size of a 50-gallon trash can. That's pretty much how big it is.
Okay.
Now this sign, this panda bear is sitting in a field, and on it there's a sign with skull and crossbones in both Russian and Ukrainian, and it says, what is this? Opasno min, which is beware of mine. Now, before we knew that bear was telling us to beware of mines, I had a friend of mine who was in the back seat, and she's like, let me out of this van right now because I need to pee. And I was like, okay, sure. So I opened up the van door, and the guy driving the van's like, we're not stopping here. We're leaving. And the van door is still open. It starts driving away while I'm hanging out, halfway hanging out. And then he shows us the picture of that panda bear and says, this says beware of mines. Like, you almost let her go into a minefield. And I was like, wow, it's dangerous to pee in Ukraine. It really is. That's the second time.
You guys should have pee bags, bro.
You know, that might be something they've invested in now. I don't know. When I showed up, I was just getting there. It was
Or like
brand
water bottles or something, you know?
new. Yeah.
Jugs.
Yeah, I mean, when we went on like family road trips, that's what we did. You know,
Yeah, like
we
the
ain't-
trucker status.
Yeah,
Just
trucker
go,
status.
Just go in.
Maybe they have something now. Who knows?
Even the CB radio, the jugs.
We'll find out.
Yeah, hey, if you guys have any questions for us, you guys can call in at 888-909-1050. That is 888-909-1050. Our show ends in about 20 minutes, but I do have a couple more questions for you, Nick.
Yeah.
One of the things that was on the top of my mind was, would you have done anything differently going out there?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so I farted. And
Everyone freaked out. Just kidding.
I mean, it was just like. So
In the basement? Like,
no.
Oh,
Okay. It was above the basement. It was above the basement.
That would have sucked, dude.
Yeah.
I had to air out the basement.
So basically, we are just about leaving, and we get in a circle to pray over the church, the pastor, his wife, and just the community. During this prayer, I farted, totally uncontrollable, just came right out of me, and I was like trying to hold in my laughter. Because the scene was just not.
It's like so serious.
So serious.
Everyone's around. Okay.
So then, right after the prayer was done, I turned to my friend. I was like, "Bro, I just farted," and then I started to laugh. After that, it was quiet. It was a quiet laugh. But regardless, I was like, "Man, I wish I had stayed serious," because even though everything seemed very normal out there, that was the hardest part about being in Ukraine, was the fact that I'm actually in a war zone right now, and this is not just another country that I'm ministering in, because people were going about their lives as they normally would. Like, at the end of the day, like, whether or not we get bombed, I still have to go to work and feed my family. I still have to walk my dog. I still have to take the trash out. Like, the everyday daily tasks were still being done. So it was really hard to stay in a war zone mindset and to be pretty much, what is the word? Not compassionate, but empathetic towards the Ukrainians. And I don't know. Part of me is like, I'm sure they laugh. I'm sure they still have good times out there. But at least in that scene, I for sure regret not
Being serious when you're supposed to.
continuing to be serious.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Anne Franks out there, you know,
Yeah.
trying to stay positive and be happy during the time of war.
Yeah.
Was there any time where, you know, did you see anyone smiling, enjoying their day? Like, did they come to terms, or did they adapt to the situation, or was it just like, were you confused, thinking like, what, like, we're in a war zone, why aren't you guys like hiding or taking action?
Oh man, so funny thing is, when we first like drove in, there was like this stigma of, do not talk to the armed guards, just do the dumb American thing and they'll let us through. And I'm like, bro, these are still people, and I want to get to know them, and I want to know their names, I want to know about their family, and I want to pray for them. So there are checkpoints all throughout Ukraine.
Yeah.
To pretty much make sure, like, hey, who are you? Are you a spy? Are you Russian? What are you doing? Where are you going? And in one of these checkpoints, we had popped a tire. Now, we had to fix it. So we sat there for, I think, like 30 or 40 minutes. The time was ticking. We had to get out of there because of
Curfew?
Curfew.
Yeah.
But I sat there for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, nope, I'm done with this. I'm going and talking with these soldiers, and I'm going to chop that up with them. So I walked up and made sure they knew, like, hey, I'm about to reach for my phone, not a gun. Don't shoot me. And then I pulled out Google Translate and just started talking with them. And it was so cool to just get to just, like, talk with these people.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I started off the conversation with saying, like, hey, you got some wood right there, and I see an axe. Do you mind if I start chopping your wood? And they're like, sure. Now, this big Ukrainian comes out of this hut. He picks up the biggest log, and it's got a knot in it. Of course, he gives the small American boy a knotted log to chop with a 3-pound axe.
He's testing you, bro.
Yeah, I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I see. You just want to laugh. I get it. It's fine. I'll take the bait. So I swing at this log. Nothing happens. It's also damp. It was terrible. I could not chop through it. So all these Ukrainian soldiers are just sitting there laughing at me. But it was completely fine because I'm like, hey, I'm sure you guys haven't had a solid laugh in a while.
Yeah.
And it was just cool to conversate with them. So since I was no longer with my original organization, I was allowed to shoot guns. Now, given that I'm in a country that has fully automatic weapons, I was like, what's it going to take for this Ukrainian soldier to give me his gun so I could,
Can I train with you guys?
Yeah, I was like, let me shoot. Like, let's have some target practice. I'll put some logs out there, and he didn't buy.
Give me that log that you just gave me. I'll split it open.
Yeah. He did not give me his gun. He ended up showing me some of his ammunition, which was interesting. They use I'm actually not going to disclose that.
Okay. Can you disclose what kind of guns they were carrying?
Yeah. They were using like AK style platforms.
Okay.
But interesting enough, Ukraine doesn't actually have enough guns to fully support like the entire population.
That's what I heard.
So you're going to see a lot of interesting rifles out there that are not essentially like native to Ukraine.
Yeah.
A lot of them are also manufactured from the state because people have not supported Ukraine in the past. So yeah, but a majority of the time, a rifle. If they're an actual soldier, it's a rifle. If they're a farmer, it could be anything from just like a standard wooden hunting bolt-action rifle to a bullpup 5.56.
Just whatever they can get their hands on.
Strain, yeah, just whatever.
So what was the social norms out there in Ukraine?
So it was just like any. It felt just like any other place. Of just it's time to take this car to get some gas. Actually, gas, that was a fun one. Gas stations had to ration everything, so you'd only be allowed like a couple of liters. I think you were allowed maybe like 5 liters of gas. So there's a huge line at these gas stations, and people are just trying to get gas to go to work or to go get some food or whatever, essentially. But regardless, it was still it was just bewildering how mundane
Normal?
it felt. Yeah, super strange.
Now, did you get any contacts? Like, did you get anyone's numbers out there in Ukraine? Like, so you guys can like keep in touch or get updates, or if you ever go back, because you said you were talking about going back, right?
Yeah. So there is our contact from earlier that we talked about, Doug. He is still there. He lives there. So I can always talk to him again and ask like, where do you have the greatest need for work right now, and he'll help situate me and get me back out there, as well as a Jesus mission. Like they're still very much there to this day, so I can just talk to them. I can talk to the head honcho of that organization, and I'm sure they'd be like, all right, yeah, we'll get you back out there. They have a like an interview process, but I think given that I was already there with them, I don't necessarily need to go through it.
Bypass that.
Yeah.
How much is it to go out there?
Ooh, that's a good question.
How much did you fundraise? Were you able to get?
I mean, I had fundraised for a different trip, and instead of going to Jordan, we just used that money to go to Ukraine. So, I would say living in Ukraine or around Ukraine, like whether it be like Romania and neighboring countries, you're probably looking at bare bones, maybe $300 a month to just live.
Okay.
As for a plane ticket to Romania would be 1,500, 1,600, depending.
Just for one trip?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's one way. Yeah.
one way. I think actually, it might be a round trip depending on deals. Because I've seen some cheap flights. The other day I saw a flight to Costa Rica for $80 round trip.
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal. So it really depends on the airline and availability, but for the most part, you're looking at anywhere from $1,300 for a one-way, a cheap one-way, to $2,000 for a round trip.
Okay. And so you really got to meet all these Ukrainians.
Yeah.
Right. Were a lot of them humble, or how was their demeanor? You know, and did they know you're American?
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, that's a good question. Didn't know I'm American. They probably thought I was American based off of the English I was speaking. One thing I've found in foreign countries is typically people just scream at Americans, whatever English. Typically, children, they'll scream at you, whatever English they know.
Yeah.
And if it makes no sense, it doesn't matter because they feel the coolest. They're like, oh yeah.
Yep.
I talked to an American today, and you know what I said to him? And then they say something absolutely obscene and foul.
Just
I had
obnoxious.
that experience in Namibia. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know one soldier was pretty proud of his marksmanship because he was kind of like bashing Russia. Because I was talking to him, I'm still trying to get this gun from him so we can shoot together.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Is your aim any good?" And he's like, "When it comes to Russia, oh yeah."
Okay.
I was like, okay, cool.
It has a meaning behind every trigger.
Yeah,
that he
yeah.
pulls.
Every bullet, it's like I know where this is going, and it's going to you.
So we have about 5 minutes, but I do want to ask you, what were your parents feeling? What were they thinking when you said, "Hey, I'm going to Ukraine"?
Yeah. So before I jumped ship on my old organization, they're like, well, if you're going, we need to make sure that your parents don't sue us. So you need to contact them and talk to them and essentially get permission from them.
But you're over 18, so
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more of like, we as an organization will not allow you to go unless we know and have written consent from your parents that you're allowed to. So that way they can't be sued if my parents try to sue him if I died.
Right. You sent my son to Ukraine. Da, da, da. He's not even in the military. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I talked to my father first. I was like, hey, I basically need to drive supplies into Ukraine to help these people. How do you feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was like, let me think about that for a little bit. I was like, okay. Also, I'm going to talk to mom and tell her the same thing.
By the way.
Yeah. So I was like, you guys talk together and let me know. And basically, he's like, I'll support you. Be safe. Be as safe as you can, but I know you're going to do this, so I fully support you. And then originally my mom was like, no.
Yeah.
But
Makes
after
sense.
they had talked a little bit more, she's like, okay, I realize and understand that you're probably going to do this with or without my permission.
Right.
But I trust you, and I know it's dangerous, but I think it's all right.
Hey, and honestly, you just gotta tell your parents, God's on my side.
Yeah.
you know, like at the end of the day, and it's for the greater good. So I'm glad to hear that. How'd you feel when they said, "We support you"?
I was shocked.
You're like, no
shocked.
way.
I was like, I really thought y'all were
You're like,
gonna say
Dad, I
no.
came up to you so you can tell me no. Like, I don't want to go.
That's just
You
like,
kidding me?
That's
Yeah.
just like telling your friend, "Hey, I need you to go ask my mom if
If
you
I can spend the night
yeah.
or something.
And then they say no or yes.
Mhm.
Like, oh.
You're like, wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So obviously you don't regret going to Ukraine.
Oh no, not at all.
It was an experience, right?
Experience, man, it was great. The gas stations have these hot dogs that are so good.
Ukrainian hot dogs.
They slap.
Better than Dodger dogs or what?
What's the price in American?
Yeah.
In American,
Yeah, American dollar. What would you say?
probably $1.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah, somewhere around there, $1.50.
What's their currency out there?
You know, I never withdrew cash, so I just used my card.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm actually not sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But they're interesting. Basically, imagine a loaf of bread that's been hollowed out, and then they fill it with sauce, and then they put the hot dog inside of it, and then they give it to you like that.
I like that.
It's
Okay.
really good.
That's pretty good.
Keeps all the sauce in there. There's no spill. It's just
Right.
and it just.
Was it like sourdough bread?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Makes sense. All right, you guys. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I appreciate everyone out there who's listening and supporting him and us and the show. Rick, I know you're on your phone, buddy, but it is time to go. It's about that time. If you want to key up the music, you're fired. I'm just kidding. All right, you guys. You guys are listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM. I'm Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And I'm Nick Lamb.
And catch us next week. We're gonna have another guest. Do you know who's lined up?
I have to confirm.
Okay, we're gonna get that confirmed, and I have some pretty special